we will broadcast for you the news in English on Radio Free Syria.
Welcome to our news hour from Radio Free Syria. I am MarwanKADRO and I will be with you during this news hour from Radio Free Syria. We will start with the headlines. Local coordination committees in Syria. With the end of Saturday, the LCC managed to document 136 marchers, including 9 women and 6 children. 47 marchers were reported in Damascus and its suburbs, 30 marchers in Aleppo, 50 marchers in Idlib, 10 marchers in Daraa, 9 marchers in Raqqa, 8 marchers in Homs, 5 marchers in Hasaka, 5 marchers in Deir ez-Zor, 5 marchers in Hama, and last but not least, 2 marchers in Latakia. The LCC documented 313 points of shelling, of which 21 different areas were shelled by warplanes, 7 by cluster bombs and 2 by vacuum bombs. Warplanes have dropped explosive barrels on 2 areas and another with phosphorus bombs. Shelling by mortar was documented in 78 different areas, while 143 areas were hit by artillery shelling. In another 91 areas, rocket shelling was reported. The Free Syrian Army have clashed with the regime forces at 127 different points, during of which the FSA have captured the Lahajania military company in Beit Ara village in Daraa. The Free Syrian Army targeted Shabiha strongholds in Aqraba in Damascus suburbs, hit tanks and vehicles and ammunitions caches in Khan el-Sheikh in Damascus suburbs, and controlled checkpoints at Al-Arbin roundabout, youth dorms buildings, and the fodder establishment, which is considered as stronghold for the regime security forces and Shabihas. In Daraya, in Damascus suburbs, the Free Syrian Army ambushed the regime forces and inflicted heavy damages on them at the Ma'mal road and managed to push back many attempts by the regime forces to storm Daraya and Muaddamiyah. Finally, the Free Syrian Army also destroyed many machinery vehicles across Syria. We will start with Damascus. Activists said that the area of Kafr Sousa in Damascus saw heavy fire from machine guns at the roundabout of Kafr Sousa neighborhood. There have been violent clashes between the Assad army and the Free Syrian forces in Port Said area during the early hours of the morning. Damascus countryside witnessed bombardments and numerous clashes and violence. Bombardments, missiles, as well as renewed shelling on the town of Daraya, and activists said heavy bombardments on the town of Beit Sahm. Heavy artillery and tanks on the town amid heavy clashes violent through Damascus International Airport at the entrance of the town. The violent clashes took place at the conference junction on the outskirts of the town between the Free Syrian Army and the gangs of Assad. We will move now to Homs. Today, the people of the neighborhood Jobar and Kafraya village votes missiles, MiGs, and barrels of TNT and phosphorus and cluster bombs from helicopters. Bombing has resulted in the occurrence of large numbers of injured, mostly children. In Baba Amr and Jobar, the activists' consecutive strong explosions rockets in the entire city of Homs were monitored from the northern side of the countryside of Homs. Bombing is still continuing on a daily basis in the town of Rastan, paralleling and leaving cities in difficult conditions because of the intensity of the shelling elements battalion. The battalion's Sultan Muhammad the Conqueror and cooperation with the rest of the village in Talkalakh make sure that the area is safe to run diesel fuel for water pumps for water supply to the region. While the city is living in difficult humanitarian situation. We will move now to the northern side of Syria and particularly to Aleppo. In the neighborhood of Masak and Hanano, violent clashes took place in vicinity of the barracks between the Free Syrian Army and the Assad forces. Meanwhile, the shelling fell on the neighborhood of Sheikh Faris near the Hamza Mosque after midnight and continued as the Free Syrian Army sieged the police school in Aleppo, with attacks targeting different types of weapons, the participation of several battalions. On the other hand, leaders of the Farouk brigade in Aleppo toured the families of the martyrs and the wounded who were injured in indiscriminate bombing carried out by the Assad brigades or due to their participation in the battles, and they distributed some relief aid them in a humanitarian gesture reinforced the spirit of communication and collaboration between the component of the society. Moreover, heavy clashes between the army and the Free Syrian forces near the defense factories in Aleppo. People have been hearing gunfire and clashes in the vicinity of artillery in the west area of Zahra, and quoting an activist who said that Al Jazeera is reported the news to several brigades of the FSA took over control of the surrounding air defense battalion at Aleppo International Airport. Moving to Idlib, the participation of several battalions of the Free Syrian Army under the Battle of Al-Marsus battle that began long ago and continued until now. Brigades of the Farouk area in the northern area of Idlib and other battalions tightening the nose on the camp of Wadi Daif by cutting routes who are vital to the camp, as well as heavy bombardments on Jabal al-Zawiya since yesterday night is still going on, and so far bombardments and unprecedented rockets as they use heavy artillery. Moving to Hama. In Hama, battalions of the Free Syrian Army defend the city of Halfaya and secure roads and entrances to the city from all sides to guard against any attempt to storm the city by the Assad forces. Also has battalions securing flour and distributed to the population in the city, and still elements of the Free Syrian Army stations on public roads for the third day respectively, to cut off supply routes for al-Assad forces, while other confidential watched columns in the city of al-Saghalbe, the medical staff, the transfer of the battalion's elements of the wounded to a surgical post is very difficult. As for the other battalion's elements and conducted under the supervision of the military commander, comprehensive maintenance of existing weapons in their position, as well as to monitor some of the barriers in the countryside of Idlib, bordering province of Hama. Political analysis said about her that indicates the regularity of the Free Syrian Army and the distribution of tasks on each battalion, as all battalions to learn what is required of them. Moving to Daraa. Activists said that the Assad forces have shelled the country towns with heavy artillery and mortar. Also, heavy artillery renewed on the city of Tafas and Al-Mazarib. No other receipt of the bombing that targeted for the second time. Clashes are going on and on a daily basis in the town of Basra al-Harir, where the Free Syrian Army addressed Assad forces who are trying to storm the city. This was it for today. Thank you very much for listening. I am MarwanKADRO, along with me, Islam al-Idlibi. Please follow us on freesyrianradio.webs.com. You can also communicate with us through Skype on Syrian42. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Right now, we will broadcast for you the news in English on Radio Free Syria.